Did you know that experts estimate you are subjected to manipulation up to 20 times in a single day, and most of the time, you don't even know it's happening? 20 times. Before you've even had your dinner, someone, somewhere, has tried to pull a lever in your mind to get you to do, think, or feel something that benefits them. Now, let's get one thing straight right from the top. This conversation we're about to have is not a training manual. It's not a toolkit for you to go out and exploit the people in your life. This is about pulling back the curtain. It's about arming you, giving you the shield and the eyesight to see these tactics for what they are. This is for your protection. Think of it as a vaccination for your mind. Because in my line of work, I've seen the damage these techniques can do when they go unchecked. Lives, careers, and families torn apart from the inside out. The most dangerous tactic of all, the one that can make you a prisoner in your own mind? We'll get to that one at the end. Stick with me. So what is this dark psychology we hear so much about? Forget the spooky music and the movie villains. In the real world, it's the science of manipulation, coercion, and control. It's the study of the human mind's vulnerabilities, the back doors, and the faulty locks we all have. Normal psychology wants to understand how you tick. Dark psychology wants to know how to wind you up and make you tick on someone else's time. This isn't just for interrogators in windowless rooms or slick con artists selling snake oil. It's in your office, when a boss frames a request in a way that makes you feel guilty for not working on a Saturday. It's in your relationships, when an argument leaves you feeling confused and apologizing for something you're not even sure you did. It's on your phone, every time an app uses the fear of missing out to keep you scrolling. It's the unseen architecture of modern influence. Over our time together today, I'm going to show you how to spot these tactics, how to resist them, and most importantly, how to build a psychological foundation so strong that they can't find a foothold. You'll learn to trust your gut again, and that, my friends, is a superpower. Let's start with the cornerstone of psychological abuse. A tactic so insidious it can make you question the very ground you stand on. It's called gaslighting. The name comes from an old play where a husband systematically convinces his wife she's going insane by dimming their gas-powered lights and then denying it, telling her it's all in her head. In essence, gaslighting is the act of manipulating someone by forcing them to question their own thoughts, memories, and the events occurring around them. It is a vicious, corrosive acid that eats away at your sense of reality. The gaslighter's goal is to replace your reality with their own, making you dependent on them for your understanding of the world. I remember a case from years back. Let's call her Margaret. She was a sharp woman, a retired accountant, meticulous with details. Her new husband, a charming fellow on the surface, was slowly bleeding her accounts dry. How did he do it? Not with a gun, but with a whisper. He'd move her reading glasses, and then help her search for them for an hour, sighing, "Oh, Margaret, your memory is getting so bad." He'd tell her she agreed to a major investment she had no recollection of, then show her a forged signature, saying, "See, you signed it right here last Tuesday. You were so excited about it. Don't you remember?" He isolated her from her children by telling them she was having episodes of confusion, while telling her they were too busy to visit. The small, repeated denials of her reality built up like bricks in a wall, until she was living in a prison of doubt, convinced she was losing her mind. He made her believe she was incompetent, and therefore, she couldn't possibly manage her own life or finances. He became her warden by first becoming her only source of truth. This happens in less dramatic ways every single day. The boss who denies ever saying you were up for a promotion, suggesting you must have misunderstood. The partner who, after you confront them about something hurtful they said, replies with, "You're too sensitive. I never said that. You're just looking for a reason to be angry." The core of the technique is the flat denial of your experience. The psychological principle at play here is called cognitive dissonance. Your brain is a truth-seeking machine. It wants the facts to line up. When a person you trust presents you with a reality that directly contradicts your own clear memory, it creates a painful mental static. Your brain has to conflicting pieces of information. I know what I saw, and this person I trust says it didn't happen. To resolve this painful conflict, the path of least resistance is often to doubt yourself. It's easier to believe your own mind is failing than to accept the terrifying fact that the person you depend on is a dedicated liar. So let me ask you this, and be honest with yourself. Have you ever left a conversation feeling dizzy and confused, second-guessing your own perception of events? That feeling is a red flag. It's a silent alarm telling you that someone might be tampering with your reality. Next, we have a tactic that feels wonderful right up until the moment it doesn't. It's the Trojan horse of manipulation, love bombing. This isn't about genuine affection or the excitement of a new relationship. This is a calculated campaign of excessive, over-the-top affection, flattery, and attention used to gain control and create dependency. The love bomber makes you the center of their universe. They shower you with compliments, gifts, and promises of a shared future at a dizzying speed. They'll tell you they've never met anyone like you, that you're their soulmate, that you complete them often within the first few weeks. It feels intoxicating, like you've finally found the perfect love you've always dreamed of. But it's a trap. The goal is to get you hooked on the high of their affection, to make their validation feel as necessary as oxygen. I consulted on a case involving a young man, we'll call him David. He was a successful graphic designer, but lonely. He met a woman online who was, by all accounts, perfect. She mirrored his interests, praised his work endlessly, and talked about their future together, their kids, their dream house, all within the first month. He was swept off his feet. She would text him hundreds of times a day, needing to know where he was, what he was doing, who he was with, all under the guise of caring so much. He felt seen, adored. Then, once she felt he was securely attached, the trap sprung. She started to withdraw that affection as a tool of control. If he wanted a night out with his friends, she would become cold and distant, the constant stream of loving texts ceasing abruptly. The silence was deafening. To get the love back, he would have to cancel his plans and appease her. She used the withdrawal of her affection to punish him for any behavior she disliked, effectively isolating him from his friends and family, until she was the sole provider of his self-worth. This is a classic application of a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. Think of it like a slot machine. A slot machine doesn't pay out every time you pull the lever. It pays out unpredictably. That's what makes it so addictive. You keep pulling the lever, chasing the memory of the last win, hoping the next one is it. The love bomber does the same thing. They provide an intense, overwhelming reward, and then they take it away. You become addicted to the high, and you'll do almost anything to get it back. The sudden withdrawal creates anxiety and a desperate need to regain the initial blissful state. You start changing your behavior, sacrificing your boundaries, and silencing your own needs just to get another hit of their approval. It's a powerful form of behavioral conditioning disguised as romance. It's not love, it's recruitment. So, here's a question for you to ponder. Have you ever been in a relationship, romantic or otherwise, where the intensity felt too good to be true at the start, only to later feel like you were constantly walking on eggshells to maintain that initial level of affection? That shift from intense heat to icy cold is the signature of the love bomber. Now we move from the grand, overt gestures of the love bomber to something far quieter, but in many ways, more unnerving. We're talking about the silent treatment. This isn't just someone taking a moment to cool off after an argument. The silent treatment is the deliberate, calculated use of silence to punish, control, and invalidate another person. It's a refusal to communicate, a denial of existence. When someone gives you the silent treatment, they are effectively communicating, "You are not worthy of my words. You do not exist to me." It is a passive-aggressive weapon designed to create immense anxiety and force compliance. By withholding communication, the manipulator creates an emotional vacuum, a void that the target feels a desperate need to fill. I once worked with a family, a father and his 2 adult sons, who were trying to run a business together. The father, a man named Frank, was a master of this. Whenever one of his sons made a business decision he disagreed with, Frank wouldn't yell or argue. He would simply stop speaking to them, not just about the business, but about everything. He'd walk into a room, look right through them, and ask the other son to pass the salt. He would ignore their greetings, refuse to answer their calls, and act as if they were a ghost at the dinner table. This could go on for weeks. The psychological pressure was immense. The targeted son would be consumed by anxiety, replaying the offense over and over in his head, desperate to fix the situation. Inevitably, the son would break, apologize profusely, and concede to his father's original wishes, just to end the torment of being erased. Frank used silence to maintain absolute power and ensure his way was always the final way. Why is this so brutally effective? It taps into one of our most primitive human fears, the fear of social exclusion. For our ancestors, being ostracized from the tribe was a death sentence. You couldn't survive alone in the wild. That fear is baked into our DNA. When someone treats you as if you don't exist, it triggers a primal panic button deep in your brain. It feels like a threat to your very survival. Psychologically, it's a form of emotional blackmail where the ransom is your compliance. The manipulator creates a painful state of anxiety and uncertainty, and they hold the key to ending it. All you have to do is surrender. It makes the victim feel powerless, invisible, and overwhelmingly guilty, even when they've done nothing wrong. It's a way to win a fight without ever having to say a word. By making the other person's mind their own battlefield. Think about the dynamics in your own life for a moment. Have you ever felt that icy chill of being deliberately ignored? Where the silence in the room is louder than any shouting match could ever be, and you find yourself willing to do anything just to make it stop. That is the power and the poison of the silent treatment. It's not a lack of communication, it's a weaponized form of it. Alright, let's move beyond the foundational tactics and into the more advanced, subtle forms of manipulation. These are the techniques that work because they play on the predictable, almost mechanical, workings of the human psyche. The first one is a favorite of clever parents, shrewd salespeople, and anyone who wants you to think you're in charge. It's called reverse psychology. Put simply, it's advocating for a behavior that is the opposite of what you truly desire, with the expectation that the target will choose the desired behavior. Out of a need to assert their freedom, you tell someone don't do X, and their immediate, instinctual reaction is to do exactly X. This isn't just for children. It works on adults with astonishing reliability. I saw this used in a corporate negotiation once. A clever CEO, let's call him Marcus, was trying to acquire a smaller tech company. The founder of the smaller company was proud, a bit stubborn, and didn't like being told what to do. During the final stages, Marcus leaned back in his chair and said, "You know what? You're probably right. This deal is too risky for you. Your company is your baby, and merging with a big firm like ours, you'd lose all your autonomy. We should probably just call this off to protect your independence." He pushed the don't do it button. The founder, who had been hesitant, suddenly felt his freedom to choose being threatened. His instinct to resist being told he couldn't handle it kicked in. He spent the next hour arguing for the merger, selling Marcus on why it was a great idea and how he could handle the pressure. He walked right into the sale, believing it was his own defiant choice. This works because of a powerful psychological principle known as reactance theory. Humans have a fundamental need to feel free and in control of their own decisions. When we feel that someone is trying to limit our choices or force our hand, an internal alarm goes off. We react by pushing back against the perceived control, often by doing the very thing we're being discouraged from. It's our brain's way of shouting, "You can't tell me what to do." A skilled manipulator knows this and will use it to guide you like a matador guiding a bull, letting you think the charge was your idea all along. Another subtle but powerful technique is what I call covert persuasion through false choice. This is where the manipulator presents you with a limited set of options, typically two, both of which serve their ultimate goal. It gives you the illusion of control, the feeling that you are making a decision when in fact, your decision was made for you before the question was even asked. A parent might say, "Do you want to put your toys away now, or after you brush your teeth?" The real option not putting the toys away is never presented. A salesperson might ask, "Will you be paying with cash or card?" assuming the sale is already made. By framing the choice this way, they bypass the more critical question of whether you want to buy the product at all. This leverages a cognitive bias known as decision fatigue. Our brains have a finite amount of energy for making choices. By presenting a simple, pre-approved choice, the manipulator makes it easy for you to agree without engaging in deeper, more critical thinking. It's the path of least resistance. Have you ever agreed to something just because it was the easier of two options presented to you, without ever stopping to ask if there was a third, better option? Now we delve into two of the most emotionally charged tactics in the Manipulator's Handbook. These work by hijacking your conscience and your heart. First, let's talk about guilt tripping. This is the art of making someone feel responsible for the manipulator's negative emotions or misfortunes in order to induce compliance. It's a moral trap. The classic line is, "After all I've done for you." This phrase is a loaded gun, designed to trigger a sense of debt and obligation. The manipulator positions themselves as a martyr or a victim, and you are cast in the role of the ungrateful, selfish villain. To escape this deeply uncomfortable feeling of guilt, you are pressured to do whatever it is they want. I remember an interrogation with a suspect in a fraud case, an older gentleman who had scammed his own relatives. When I laid out the evidence, he didn't get angry. He started to cry. He said, "I can't go to jail. My wife, her heart condition is so fragile. The stress would kill her. You'd have her death on your conscience. How could you do that to a sick old woman?" He wasn't talking about his crime, he was trying to make me feel guilty for the consequences of my duty. He was attempting to shift the moral burden from himself to me. This is what guilt tripping does. It reframes the situation to make your reasonable actions or boundaries seem like a cruel attack on the manipulator. This works by hijacking our natural sense of empathy and moral obligation. Most decent people don't want to cause others pain. We are hardwired to care about the well-being of our social group. A manipulator exploits this by faking or exaggerating their suffering, and then pinning the cause directly on you. Your brain's empathy circuits light up, you feel their supposed pain, and your conscience screams at you to alleviate it. The quickest way to do that is to give in. It's a form of emotional extortion. Closely related, but more aggressive, is emotional blackmail. This tactic uses threats and punishments to control another person's behavior. While guilt tripping is about making you feel bad for what you've done, emotional blackmail is about making you feel terrified of what will happen if you don't comply. The threats are often not physical, they are threats to the relationship itself. The classic formulas are, "If you really loved me, you would," or "If you leave, I'll fall apart. I can't live without you." The manipulator places the responsibility for their own emotional well-being squarely on your shoulders. They threaten you with the loss of love, approval, or the relationship itself if you don't do what they want. This is a direct attack on your deepest fear of loss and your fundamental attachment systems. The bond in a relationship is supposed to be a source of security. The emotional blackmailer turns it into a weapon. They hold the relationship hostage. The fear of abandonment or of being the cause of someone else's complete breakdown can be a paralyzing motivator. It forces you into a position where setting boundaries feels like a destructive act. You stay, you comply, you give in not out of love, but out of fear. It's a cage built with emotional bars. Ask yourself, have you ever felt forced to make a choice not because you wanted to, but because you were afraid of the emotional fallout if you didn't? That sense of dread is the hallmark of emotional blackmail. So where do these tactics show up? Everywhere. It's crucial to see them not as abstract concepts, but as concrete actions happening in your daily life. Let's look at a few common settings. In the workplace, manipulation is rampant. Think of the boss who uses guilt to extract unpaid overtime. "Look, the whole team is counting on you. I know it's Saturday, but if you don't finish this proposal, we could lose the client. I wouldn't want the team to think you're not a team player." See what's happening? It's not a direct order, it's a guilt trip wrapped in a veiled threat to your reputation. Or the co-worker who uses strategic incompetence, constantly asking you for help on tasks they should know how to do, offloading their work onto you under the guise of mentorship. Then there's the digital world. Social media is a manipulation machine. Algorithms are designed to exploit your FOMO, your fear of missing out. They show you pictures of friends at parties you weren't invited to or exotic vacations you can't afford. This creates a low-grade anxiety and a desire to present an equally perfect life, keeping you engaged, posting, and scrolling. Marketing is another field built on these principles. The only to left in stock, or sale ends in 10 minutes. Messages aren't just information, they are tools of manipulation that create a false sense of scarcity and urgency. They want to rush you into a decision before your logical brain can weigh the pros and cons. They are intentionally trying to trigger your panic button to drive a sale. And of course, these tactics are most painful in our personal relationships. A partner might use subtle undermining comments to erode your confidence, making you more dependent on them. Or they might use isolation tactics, complaining about your friends or family until you see them less and less, leaving the manipulator as the primary voice in your life. I want you to pause and think. In which of these settings work, online, in stores, or at home, have you seen these tactics play out most often? Recognizing the environment is the first step to building a defense. So, how do you protect yourself? It's a three-tiered strategy: recognize, respond, and reinforce. The first and most critical step is immediate recognition. You have to learn to trust your gut. Your emotions are data. If you walk away from an interaction feeling confused, guilty, anxious, or small, don't brush it off. That's a red flag. Pay attention to the physical cues. Does your stomach tighten when a certain person calls? Do you feel exhausted after talking with them? Learn to spot the tactics we've discussed. When your partner says, "You're crazy, that never happened," a light should go off in your head. Gaslighting. When a new friend showers you with obsessive praise, another light. Possible love bombing. You can't fight an enemy you can't see. Your first job is to turn on the lights. Once you can recognize the tactic being used, you need a plan to respond. This is about boundary-setting responses. Manipulators thrive on blurred lines and emotional reactions. Your defense is to be calm, clear, and firm. You don't need to be aggressive, you need to be a brick wall. Develop a set of scripts, simple phrases you can use to disengage and reclaim your power. If someone is pressuring you for an immediate decision, your script is, "I need some time to think about that. I'll get back to you." This neutralizes the urgency tactic. If someone is laying a guilt trip on you, your script is, "I understand you feel that way, but I'm not comfortable doing that." You are acknowledging their feeling without accepting responsibility for it. If they are gaslighting you, trying to deny your reality, the script is, "My memory of that is different." You are not arguing. You are not engaging in their frame. You are simply stating your position without apology. Role play these in your head. Practice saying them out loud. These phrases are your shield. They create space, and in that space, you can think clearly and act in your own best interest. The final, long-term strategy is to build psychological immunity. This is about reinforcing your mind so that manipulation can't find a purchase. One of the most powerful tools for this is mindfulness or journaling. Taking time each day to check in with yourself how you feel. What you think strengthens your connection to your own inner reality. The more you trust your own perceptions, the harder it is for a gaslighter to shake them. Another key element is seeking outside input. Manipulators work by isolating you. Maintain strong connections with trusted friends or family who can offer a reality check. If you feel confused after a conversation with your partner, call a friend and say, "This is what just happened. Am I seeing this correctly?" An outside perspective is like a compass when you're lost in the fog. Finally, know when to walk away. Some people are so deeply invested in these toxic behaviors that they will not change. If you are in a situation that causes you chronic anxiety, makes you doubt yourself constantly, or isolates you from others, the strongest boundary you can set is distance. Removing yourself from a toxic environment is not a failure. It is the ultimate act of self-protection. Now, let's circle back to the question I asked at the beginning. What is the most dangerous tactic? In my experience, it's gaslighting. Why? Because love bombing, guilt tripping, the silent treatment, they are all attacks from the outside. Gaslighting is different. It erodes your trust in the one person you have to rely on for your entire life, yourself. It turns your own mind into a prison. Once you lose trust in your own perception, you are completely vulnerable to the manipulator's control. That is why seeing it, naming it, and rejecting it is the most critical defensive skill you can learn. Knowledge is power. What we've discussed today is a powerful set of tools. Remember why we're here: to use this knowledge for awareness, for defense, and to protect the integrity of your own mind. Use it to see the world more clearly, and perhaps to help someone you care about do the same.